Hello and welcome to Decaf, a production of the Beacon Center of Tennessee. I'm Taylor, and as always, I'm joined by my friend and coworker, Mark. Mark, you are not wearing a Utah Jazz hat today. Should we be worried?
I'd say yes. Our whole team, we're going to be the worst team in the NBA for the next 10 years. So we're just cheering away all our good players this offseason, it seems like. So I'm getting ready for a rebuild. But we have a football topic coming up. So we have about a month left until the season. So I want to wear my Notre Dame hat so I feel prepared to talk about it.
I mean, if you want, I can get you an Alabama hat. I would be more than happy to contribute that to your wardrobe.
I actually have an Alabama basketball T-shirt. I will never wear football stuff because I don't respect them. But I do like their basketball team and I like their coach. So I'm an okay Alabama basketball fan.
I don't know if there's any insult worse than I don't respect them or I don't respect you. That is a savage burn. And we'll come back to that because you might not respect us, but you can't ignore that we got skill.
Yep. Second best team in the country.
Okay, I gotta go. That's it for Decaf. Just kidding. I'm giving Mark a hard time because he did one of my dream interviews this week, and I can't believe that I didn't just get on Zoom and hijack it from him. Mark, you got to interview Dr. Ben Carson on our Overcaffeinated show this week, or you interviewed him last week. It aired this week. I have always wanted to interview Dr. Carson because I think he is the smartest man in the entire world. What was it like?
I mean, he was as great as expected. And I guess as somebody who, I knew when he ran for president, like we said before, that was such a huge deal. And as a first-time candidate to be, the front runner for a while was a gigantic achievement. Also, the world's best neurosurgeon. I mean, this guy is the most impressive person ever. And I guess I didn't know a ton about him. For example, I know Kira's parents loved him. I know my parents and I only knew him from running for president. I thought he's, I respected him. I thought he was a very, a well-spoken, kind of just extremely intelligent person who's kind of got that, that soft-spoken thing where he's confident, but he doesn't act overly confident, in like a very respectful, kind of humble way.
Yeah. That's what we call humility.
Yes, he was very, very humble, but he was just incredible. I mean, we talk about how smart he is, but he has that kind of low, like we talk about humble voice where he doesn't feel like he needs to grab attention. But if you listen to what he says, everything he said was it's unbelievable how smart he is. He just knows more. He'll forget more than I ever know. I mean, he knows everything about everything, including cooking, including just these things, baseball. I mean, the guy is a certified genius, again, the best neurosurgeon in the world. And it was just a real pleasure to talk to him and kind of get his take on something. And I told you kind of earlier off the show that I really like the way he didn't make it this political statement where it's the Republicans versus the Democrats. It's the right. Like he really talked about people and he talked about solutions that, might be more right oriented, but he didn't add into this, this real thing that we talk about all the time about this divide in America where Republicans are yelling at Democrats are yelling at Republicans, and they're on their blue and red team. It didn't feel like that to me. He felt like somebody who really wanted solutions and didn't care so much about the party. He cared about the principles and the policies.
And anytime he did kind of hit at the other side, it was a joke. He's funny. Since when have you ever met a brilliant neurosurgeon who's also really funny? Some of the questions that you asked, he didn't really like the options that you gave him. And so he answered on his own. I mean, he's funny. His brain is a miraculous thing. I usually sneak on the Zoom and just hide myself and listen to these interviews. I didn't do it this time. I waited until everybody else could see it before I watched it. And I was just blown away. I was sending Mark messages how is this man real? It was a really great thing to watch. So if you're listening to this right now, or if you're watching it on our Facebook, you should go to our Facebook page, Beacon TN, and look up our interview with Dr. Carson and watch it because you will not be disappointed. You will have, I assure you, just as much respect for him afterwards as I do. It was a really, really great show. Probably one of your best, Mark.
I was going to say, I don't think you ever complimented me on that before. And you messaged me oh, this is a great show. This is a great job. So if you're complimenting me on it, it's pretty good. So it is definitely worth a listen. And he'll be in Franklin. He's been in Tennessee the last week, kind of doing appearances.
Oh, yeah.
And my dad made a good joke. He was with Maria Bart. I don't even necessarily have to say Bartolo.
Maria Bartiromo.
On Sunday, and my dad's like, oh, I guess he wanted to get like the really high profile shows out of the way first before he went on Fox News. So he went on Decaf first.
That's incredible. I love that. Well, yeah, he will be in Nashville this weekend, and if you want to go see him, grab your tickets. The link is in our Facebook post. But yes, Mark, to your point, I'm not a mean girl. I wouldn't say I'm a mean girl, but I don't give out compliments easily. So if I am complimenting you, you know that it's good. I don't say it. I can appreciate some things quietly, but if I talk about how good it is, you know that I'm impressed. And this was one of the shows that I was just absolutely blown away by.
I thought you said you weren't a meme girl. Like, you share memes all the time. You're definitely a meme girl, but it's a mean girl. That makes more sense.
Oh, yeah. I am definitely a meme girl with an M. I am not a mean girl with an N. I'm just a little stoic. And if I offer a compliment, you need to put it in your pocket and take it with you because it is rare. They're few and far between. You know, someone who I haven't been complimenting a lot lately, and don't know that I ever will at this rate, is the current presidential administration. Wah, wah. The economic numbers came out today. And I don't know, I think that we should get one of the dictionaries that the Biden administration is using to define what's going on in the country, because they're not defining recession the way that I define recession. I define recession the way the Oxford English Dictionary defines recession, which is 2 consecutive quarters of lagging numbers of decline in the economy. So that's where we're at right now, is we are officially in the 2nd consecutive quarter of non-growth, of lagging numbers, and I'm pretty sure that's a recession. Mark, you got any hot takes on that?
Well, there's one hot take, I think, is that obviously, if you don't know, that the Biden administration said that we're not in a technical recession. That was their point after 2 quarters. It seemed like there's a lot of definitions. Most of them point to the fact that it is a technical recession, but regardless, I think this is something that we talked about months ago when Jen Psaki left, when their communications director left, is this is not the narrative you want. You don't want your administration to be arguing about the technicalities of what a recession is when people are hurting so bad. It is an absolute disaster from a cons perspective, where it just shows how out of touch you are. Honestly, nobody really cares whether it's a technical recession or not. They care that their wallet is hurting. They can't buy stuff. They care not making as much money as what the cost of things are going up. This is a huge problem. And it just shows how out of touch they are with the American people to even be arguing about this. Nobody really cares about the technical recession. And if you're having that argument with yourselves, you're losing. I mean, that's a losing argument at a time like this. So say what you want about, his communications skills and department before this. Things have gotten substantially worse, and this is just another black eye on this administration to be having this discussion. I don't care if he's right or wrong. It seems like he's wrong, but I don't even care. It just shows a complete lack of understanding of what the American people are going through.
Yeah, you make a really great point there. Why are we arguing about what a technical recession is instead of getting out there and calming the American people down and saying, this is what we're going to do about this? I like it. I believe in the Ronald Reagan quote where he says the worst thing you could ever hear is I'm from the government and I'm here to help. I am a big proponent of that. So I would rather them say, we're not going to do anything. We're going to let you guys stimulate the economy, and we're just going to let the market do as the market does. But I even saw a tweet from the Wall Street Journal earlier today where China's officials all but came out and said that they weren't going to meet their economic numbers. They weren't going to meet the status that they set for themselves. And if China's not meeting their numbers and everybody's buying things from China, we probably aren't going to be doing so well either. This is a worldwide recession, and I don't know where the president is. He has had COVID, so feel sorry for him there. He's better now, but we need to get some economic advisors in there trying to figure out what we can do to ease the burden on Americans. And if we ease the burden on Americans, probably the rest of the world. But we are in a recession. Admit it. Call it like it is. And tell us what we're going to do to fix it, because people are really struggling here. I can't tell you the amount of conversations I've had recently where folks are struggling to make ends meet. And it's not, I looked at my financial portfolio the other day and wanted to jump out a window. So I get it. Things are not looking good.
The problem is that nobody in the Biden administration understands what a recession is and how we got here. And that goes back to this whole Janet Yellen saying, we're not in a like, this is a temporary thing. We don't believe inflation's actually, we think it's just right now. It's not going to keep going. It like time after time, they've been wrong. And Larry Summers, the former economic advisor to Obama, warned that there's going to be a recession if you do all these spending plans. They ignored him and laughed at him and said, you're wrong. So it's like, you can't have the very people who didn't understand why it happened in the first place try to fix it. It just doesn't work. And because you don't understand the core problem of why it happened. And like we talked about before, not all of it is the Biden administration's fault. Not all of it is under our control. You know, worldwide pandemic is something that matters. And the fact that it's not just the U.S., the rest of the world's having issues with this too. But you can't fix a problem when you don't understand how you got to that problem. And that's the whole problem with the Biden administration. They don't understand it. And not even just the Biden administration. Again, we have to say, I think we can blame Biden a good amount for this, more than 50%. I mean, some of the Trump handouts for the COVID stuff that we talked about is partially responsible for this too. You're having to print money in order to put all this COVID money because you shut down the government. So it is not just Biden's fault, but the fact that, you know, the one tenet that Biden ran on saying, you know, I just want somebody to be honest and straight up with the American people. And I want somebody to basically take blame when it's deserved. He won't do any of that. He is basically doing the same things that he blamed Trump of doing. And it's just, it's so disingenuous. And I think at this point, I mean, I saw a poll too that they said in New Hampshire, Democratic primary voters prefer Pete Buttigieg over Biden right now. So even his own party, and they're not even running. They gave them a bunch of choice, and Biden was behind Pete Buttigieg in New Hampshire, which is, you know, one of the first in the nation primaries. It's a swing state. Wow. So he's having issues within his own party. It's not just, you know, the Republicans saying things or the moderates. The entire country right now is saying, what are you doing? I don't understand this.
Yeah, I agree. I would love to, when you said when you just talked about how President Biden ran on, I want to have people that we can trust, people who are going to be honest. I would love to see a YouTube video where their record scratches and someone like breaks the fourth wall, like they did in those cheesy 90s sitcoms, and looks at the camera and says, would you really? And then like a super cut of everything that's happened after that, because it would just go to show that there isn't a lot of honesty. There isn't a lot of transparency. There isn't a lot of solution finding. There's a lot of blaming and changing the definition. And it's only making things worse for people. When the markets face uncertainty, we all suffer. And I think that the markets are seeing a lot of uncertainty because we don't really know what's going to happen. And we don't really know that we can trust the boss, whoever you want to blame this on. Right now, President Biden is the boss, and he's got to take responsibility for what's going on at the current moment. We can talk about the roots of this later, but at the current moment, that's what we're dealing with.
And he keeps putting blame on things. He's saying, oh yeah, the giant corporations are responsible for inflation. It's like, what are you talking about? They just somehow got greedy over the past year, and they've never been before. And now, and the gas prices he blamed on the Russia-Ukraine conflict, like they were going up way before that happened. It's just these things that they don't make any sense. And as much as, I don't like to do this because this is not my thing, it doesn't feel like the media is holding him to account to the things that he's saying and where he's putting blame, like they did Trump. And Trump did the same thing. He put blame on everything but him. He was never responsible for anything. But the media really held him to task on that. I don't see that with Biden saying, like, look, even if I like you or whatever, this is obviously not the reason why this is happening.
Yeah, I agree. And it would be, hey, media, we got a pitch idea for you. Track everything that the last two presidents have blamed struggles in the economy on, and just make a list, and we'll see what ends up coming out as the actual reason. How about that? We can move on from this because I'm getting depressed. But while we're talking about the media, let's talk about something happy, like SEC Media Days and all of the SEC things that happened last year. I know Mark hates to talk about the SEC. You hate it. I get it.
I want to talk about this, though, because that one person, that one crazy vote I want to talk about.
Okay, we'll talk about the crazy vote. So if you don't know, there was a poll, I guess it was last week, of people who are involved in Southeastern Conference football, and they were talking, the poll was, who's going to win the conference this year? What team has the chance to win the conference this year? Alabama was far and away the winner, but there were some cute little surprising things sprinkled in there. Mark, tell us about what really shocked you there. And we don't know if it's serious or fake.
So it's media day. So it's the media who's voting in this. And somehow, there is, I think, about 175 votes, or I guess a little bit more, about 180 votes for first place in the SEC. 158 picked Alabama, 18 picked Georgia, and somehow 3 picked South Carolina, which is weird to begin with, but they got a good quarterback. I kind of understand. One media member picked Vanderbilt. I don't think Vanderbilt's had a winning season in like 8 years. If they get to 500 this year, it would be insane. And some media members thought that they would win the SEC. And I'm telling you, either he's the biggest troll of all time, or if he's smart enough to think that could actually happen, put like $10 down. You'll win like $1 million, because it is just not going to happen. And I think that's why these, the media, it's just kind of making a mockery of the process. I think if I'm looking at that, I probably vote for Georgia to win, but I think Alabama's a fine vote. I did notice this, that they said since it's happened since 92, right? So that's, what is that at this point? 20 years? 20 years. And they've only been right like 7 times. So the media has not been a good indicator of who's actually going to win it. And that's but it's the media. It's like, I actually care a lot more about the coaches poll, because they kind of know who's in each program. They know those things. But it's an absolute joke that that Vanderbilt got any vote. And also it's a joke that Alabama got such a high percentage, because the betting lines put Alabama and Georgia at about a coin flip. I understand why it might be 80-80, but to have 158 for Alabama, I think that's just more of the media favoritism that we seem to see for them every year.
I do sometimes feel like I need to check my heart on this, because if it was any other team, I would be furious. I would be going scorched earth out there, just being so ugly about it. But because it's Alabama, I just feel like I'm riding in my little parade float at the homecoming parade, just waving and enjoying the adoration of all the fans.
Well, it's the media, so I guess the fans and media are the same thing for you guys.
Okay, listen, that was kind of savage, but it was true. But you're right. If it was any other team, I would be so upset. Like Georgia, no team makes my blood boil like Auburn, but Georgia is creeping on up there with them. I just feel like, because they're a threat, and you know how competitive I am, and so it was a joy for me to see Georgia only get a handful of votes.
It should also be a joy to make Auburn just the most irrelevant football team that there is right now. They are they're actually irrelevant. They got 0 first place votes. I think they're projected to finish 4th on their side of the conference. No, I'm sorry. They're finished. They're picked to finish last in the Western Division, below Mississippi State, LSU, and Ole Miss. So, they have fallen so far that they're not even relevant anymore. And Brian Harson's going to be fired for this year. But it will be interesting, because let's talk a little bit about the SEC, because we're getting excited for football season. Tennessee was picked 3rd in their side of the division, the East side, with Kentucky was neck and neck with them. But that should be a pretty competitive side, because South Carolina should be much better. Georgia.
I agree.
Georgia probably won't be quite as good as last year. And Kentucky's bringing basically everybody back. So Kentucky's kind of the dark horse team that could win that side of the division.
That scares me. Kentucky's a little sneaky. That scares me, but I'm excited. It's always fun. The 3rd Saturday in October is the Alabama-Tennessee game. And it's fun when Tennessee is competitive. I know I like to say, as much as everyone else, it's been over 5,000 days since Tennessee has beat Alabama. But it's fun when Tennessee competes. I love to see it when they can compete. It just makes the game and the experience so much more fun. So I hope that the polls are right, and that Tennessee is going to be as strong as we think it is this year, because that's going to make the 3rd Saturday in October really fun.
I feel like we've heard Tennessee's going to compete about the last 5 years, and it just hasn't come out yet, just because the media says so beforehand. It's not actually been borne out at all. So we'll see if they'll actually do that. Last year they pretty much underachieved, but Purdue beat them in that bowl game, which won me money, so I was excited about that. But we'll see what Tennessee is. Yeah. I think that eventually they're going to break through. I think that they have a decent coach, and they had a good recruiting year, but you can't believe it until you see it. Same thing with LSU. I keep hearing about how they're going to be back. I'm still waiting to see that since that national championship. So we'll see. My sleeper is Arkansas. Everyone's on Texas A&M as the biggest competitor to Alabama that side. I think Arkansas is going to be the biggest competitor to Alabama. Not sure they win, but I don't buy this Texas A&M love just because they got a bunch of recruits.
I agree. I texted some of my friends the other day and said, you want to go to Fayetteville for the game this year, October 8th? Let's go. I want to see Alabama face off with Arkansas. I am ready for that to be a competitive game.
It'll be fun.
Again.
It'll be a good game.
It used to be when I was a kid, and it's not anymore, and I am ready for it. So wishful thinking. So we talked about winners and losers in the SECs, but before we go, we need to talk about the winners and losers in America right now. And today, as we mourn the Choco Taco, we are all losers. Mark, this is the biggest disappointment since Alabama losing to Texas A&M last year. And I know that hasn't been a long time, but this is a big disappointment. I tend to think that them saying they're discontinuing Choco Tacos is a marketing campaign for us to all go out and buy Choco Tacos. I don't think they can get rid of them, Mark. I really don't think they can. I don't know if you agree, but I don't think they can.
So it's funny because the Choco Taco has so many memories for me. It's a weird thing. There's a ton of memories in that. I used to, and this is a fun fact that not a lot of people know. So I used to have hockey practice every Sunday. After hockey, you always used to go to Taco Bell every single Sunday afterwards. Mm-hmm. And they had Choco Tacos in the little fridge on the counter. So you get a taco and a Choco Taco.
No way.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Most people don't know that. That was a staple at Taco Bell until I was probably about 11 or 12. They used to have a little freezer of Choco Tacos that you could add to your order. So I get real tacos and then Choco Tacos. And they had that stupid machine, where you put the coins in and you try to catch it on one of the things.
And you spin it.
The nickel was always a Choco Taco. So I'd put a bunch of nickels in when I was done until I won. So it was it was very fun. And I just have all these great memories of it. But like everything else we talk about, I've had I had a Choco Taco actually about 6 months ago. But before that, I've only had probably one Choco Taco in the past probably 9 years. So I'm the reason they're going to business. I should be buying that. I have no one to blame but myself.
Same. We used to get Choco Tacos at the pool that we went to growing up. It was the Anderson Country Club pool. And so as a kid, you think you can just go up and put your parents' number down and it's free, which is what I did all the time. And I would get chicken nuggets and a Choco Taco. And it was just so fun to take a break from the pool, go sit out and eat a Choco Taco, and then jump back in and get a stomach ache. Man, best stomach ache I ever had. It was just always so fun. But as you said, I have not had Choco Taco in so long. Now, why they're not discontinuing those nasty strawberry bars on the popsicle stick that they have and keeping the Choco Tacos, I don't understand. Wait, do you
mean the strawberry shortcake ones with like the outside that's like texture? Oh, those are the best dessert there is. Those are better than Choco Tacos. I mean, there's a reason not discontinuing because people are still buying them, so that's the reason why. Oh, those are great.
Horrified.
Oh
God.
People love those. How could you dislike them? It's such a great texture. It's so delicious. I mean, I've never heard anybody say a bad thing about them. That's a Nickelback opinion.
The texture of those things is criminal. That is gross.
You're in the minority. Almost nobody thinks that, and I feel like you are. This is your Nickelback argument. I'm fine with you thinking that. People like that, and it is a good popsicle. That was the best. That's like the best popsicle they have because you kind of get a little bit of the ice cream. Okay, you get kind of like the topping, the texture. I think it's great, and that's insane. You said that.
If we keep talking about it, I'm going to be sick. I can't talk.
I'm gonna get one. I think I want to buy some so those don't get discontinued. After Choco Tacos taught me a lesson. I don't want to sit on my laurels and not buy ice cream I like.
I know. I don't really eat sugar, but I feel like I need to go down to the gas station when we get off this podcast and get a Choco Taco just for nostalgia.
I think so.
Our coworker Stephanie is very upset about it. She loves a Choco Taco. I love a Choco Taco. I think it's a marketing campaign. Do you think they're really getting rid of them, or do you think it's marketing?
It's not a bad idea. I think they're probably planning on getting rid of them, but there might be some weird, somebody coming to save them, be like, here's a couple $1 million, keep them. Some GoFundMe or somebody buying a bunch of their supplies. So I think it is a true thing, but it could also work to their extent where they bring it back because so many people are outraged.
It's like the Mexican pizza.
That's right.
The Choco Taco is the Mexican pizza of 2022. We'll see what happens there. And you never know. You might see us on the podcast next week eating Choco Tacos. If somebody really likes the podcast, feel free to send us some. We will make good use of them. Mark, you got any final thoughts before we sign off?
Nope. Just watch the Ben Carson interview. It was great.
So for Taylor and Mark in the Beacon Center, this has been Decaf. We will talk to you